Do you want to attract certain things in your life but you don't know how? Well, today we are looking at the bridge of incidents, or why you don't necessarily have to know how to attract things in your life if you become a little bit more like water and take the path of least resistance. Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Matthew and we'll start this video with a little story from Alan Watts. Now, you might have already heard of this one, but it's always good to hear it once more.
Once upon a time, there was a Chinese farmer who lost a horse, ran away. And all the neighbors came around that evening and said, "That's too bad." And he said, "Maybe." The next day, the horse came back and brought 7 wild horses with it. And all the neighbors came around and said, "Why, that's great, isn't it?" And he said, "Maybe." The next day, his son was attempting to tame one of these horses and was riding it and was thrown and broke his leg. And all the neighbors came round in the evening and said, "Well, that's too bad, isn't it?" And the farmer said, "Maybe." And the next day, the conscription officers came around looking for people for the army, and they rejected his son because he had a broken leg. And all the neighbors came round that evening and said, "Isn't that wonderful?" And he said, "Maybe."
So you see how this farmer always kind of stayed in a neutral flow state while his neighbors were always very reactive towards the situations. And the farmer knew that all of these happy little coincidences were just the bridge of incidents that led to the fulfillment of his wishes, which probably was that his son is safe and has a fulfilling life, which wouldn't have been possible if he had died on the battlefield, right? So and this is kind of the metaphor how this story portrays to become more like water, because if you want something to happen in your life, you don't know of upcoming events. For example, here, the war, the farmer probably didn't know that these conscriptors would come and want his son. He just intended for his son to have a happy, fulfilled life. So, and then the bridge of incidents started to happen, and you could say, "Oh my god, this is such bad stuff happening and good stuff, and what's going on?" But the bridge of incidents is actually just the fulfillment of our desires, whether we know them consciously or not. So now you might say, this is just a story, that doesn't happen in real life. Well, actually it does, and let's listen to a short interview of a person that you probably all know, and in case you don't, I will reveal who that is later on.
I hated school. I loved to build things. I loved woodworking. I loved working on cars and engines. Worked in a foreign car service, and all I wanted to do was race cars. Right before graduation, I was in a terrible automobile accident and was almost killed, and as a result of that, sort of sat in a hospital for a long time thinking about my place in the world, and decided that I would give education another try, and took my very bad grades to a junior college, and discovered social science, and suddenly found something that I really loved. And then when I graduated and I was about to go on to the last 2 years of college, my best friend, who I'd grown up with since I was 4 years old, said, "Come with me to Stockton. I have to take a test to get into USC, and I don't want to do it alone, and come on, just take the test with me so I don't have to be there all by myself." So I said, okay. So I went up there and took the test, not thinking that I'd pass, but I did pass, and actually I got accepted at USC, and I said to my friend, "Well, now what am I going to do?" I said, "I really like anthropology, and I think I want to do that." And he said, "Yeah, but you wanted to go to art center. You really wanted to be an artist, and this is your second choice, anthropology." And I did. I wanted to be an artist, a photographer. I'd done a lot of photography, and I wanted to be an illustrator. So he said, "Well, SC, they've got a department there of photography." I said, "Oh, that sounds good." He said, "It's easier than PE, you'll love it." I said, "Well, okay, maybe I'll do that." So I went down there, and it wasn't a school of photography, it was a school of cinematography. And it wasn't actually a school of cinematography, it was actually a school of cinema, where you learned to make movies. So I got there and I learned about movies, which I really didn't know anything about in terms of the history of movies, watching really great movies. And I had a production class, Introduction to Animation, where eventually they gave me 1 minute film. And so I took that little assignment with my 1 minute of film, and I made a 1 minute movie out of it. My professor was unbelievably impressed with it, and it blew everybody away in the film department, and they sent it out to festivals, and it won like 47 festivals. And I said, wow, I know how to do this. I'm actually pretty good. Matter of fact, I'm better than anybody here. I love this. You know, I want to do this the rest of my life. And so I was lucky enough to find my path, my passion. And I realized after a few years, you know, and then I went to film school, made movies, and ended up being where I am. But I realized that I was following on everything I did, I was following something I really cared about, something I loved, something I was passionate about. And I kept following that passion, whether it was cars, whether it was anthropology, whether it was art, photography. And eventually it led me to my huge passion, my real passion, which was making movies, which combined all of those things.
So yeah, that was George Lucas who created the Star Wars franchise, which had a great impact on our culture, is worth billions of dollars, and brought joy around the globe. And this case is particularly interesting because he didn't even know he wanted to do that, and his outer circumstances kind of pushed him in the right direction. So now you might say, yeah, but this is a famous person, this doesn't happen to us common people or something. But actually it does happen to all of us all the time. So for example, I'm sure you heard of the story of the star quarterback hurting his knee, and that put an end to his career, and so he had to do something different in his life. So for example, I used to be a breakdancer, and I loved it. I loved the music, the crowd cheering, dancing to the beat, and back then I couldn't imagine doing anything else but this. This was like my whole life, my whole center of attention. So, but a similar thing happened to me when I injured my hands and I couldn't use them. I lost all my muscles, I lost all the power and grip and force in my hands. I had to brush my teeth like this because I couldn't put energy and force into my hands anymore. They were just done. They were, okay, we are done. We don't want to do anything anymore because I have overused them probably. And the thing is, this seems to be something bad, and back then it was a very depressing and bad time for me. But this bridge of incident actually helped me to change my career path into something that is more in alignment with who I am. So I was about to start an animator apprenticeship, but I realized I always wanted to be an actor and director and work on movies and films, and why did I stop pursuing that path? But this sickness that really put like a total stop into my life kind of forced me to rethink it, and it revealed many things that I had forgotten, and I was now able to see clearly again. For example, I missed the music in breakdancing so much that I started DJing, and I loved it too. So many new things came out of this misery. So as Alan Watts also puts it, it is really hard to tell whether something is good or bad. You have to perceive the entirety of everything happening together. So this is all fair and good. Apparently there is a system that will start a bridge of incidents to guide us to the realization of who we are and what we want. But why does this system exist at all? Who put it in place? Well, this is why I created this YouTube channel, to utilize the swarm intelligence of the internet, of you guys, so hopefully we can find an answer to that. So the key takeaway of this video is really to realize that you don't always have to know exactly what you want. Okay, the incidents in your life will kind of push you in the right direction. And also you don't have to control everything, you don't have to know how you can get certain things. You can just desire and focus and then let go and trust. I have more videos coming up about this topic in the future, but for now I hope you got value out of this. If you have questions remaining, put them in the comments, I'm happy to reply. And also don't forget to like and subscribe. I wish you a wonderful week and see you in the next video.